Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. A lot of people have been going through a lot of difficult situations and a lot of difficult circumstances. Recently, it's come upon us very quickly the last month or two. Dollar-wise, it affects everyone. People have lost jobs, businesses closed down. The stock market has gone back and forth. It's a time of uncertainty, and nobody has all the answers, and it's tough to kind of plan ahead. My guest with me on this big picture is in the business of counseling people on financial matters. David Hartzell is with me today, and David, let's jump right into this. You're with Cornell Capital,
right.
And you were the town supervisor in the town of Clarence as well.
Right.
So you've got some experience in your background on a couple of different levels. So first of all, on the stock market, let's go there for a second. It went down almost 9,000 points almost overnight, and when it got down to 20,000, I was telling everybody, this is a buy low opportunity. This is when you jump into it, not when you're supposed to be afraid and get out of it. Isn't that right?
Phil, I think we should shift roles. I've always wanted to be in the TV business. If people had listened to you last time I was here, they would have made a phenomenal amount of money. Because as you know, the market's come off the base and it's taken a huge jump. So yeah, it has absolutely come back.
Yeah, and I think the prospects, I mean, if truth be known, it probably will go even higher when things start to get normal, as people go back into the restaurants and the theaters. And then when a vaccine comes out, it will even go back even more towards normal. I mean, how do you counsel somebody now who has money to invest? I mean, that's a part of the population. There's another part of the population we'll talk about in a second, but people who want to strategize on how to use their investment money.
What we've done is we've told people, first of all, don't sell, because the market definitely will come back. And like you said, when it comes back, we think it will pop like a cork, because there's no other place to put your money right now. With T-bills paying 0.6%, it's peanuts, so people are going to come back into the stock market. The best way to get involved in the stock market is through what's called ETFs, which is basically a market basket of stocks. And right now you can buy an ETF on technology stocks. You can buy it on basically the market in general, large cap, mid cap, small cap. You can be specific and buy it on the defense industry. And buying these ETFs right now gives you a chance to ride that market back up, which inevitably is where it will go. So we're counseling people to buy ETFs. Always the great stocks, the Microsoft, Amazon, you can never lose money with them. But there's a lot of opportunity right now in the market with the market selling off.
Now, ETF, what does that stand for?
Exchange traded funds.
Okay, and how is that different from any other way to buy stocks? Explain that a little bit.
Well, it used to be mutual funds were the way to buy stocks. Everybody bought mutual funds probably over the last 20 or 30 years. But the problem with mutual funds is there's a load up front, 7, 8%, 5%, whatever it is, depends on the mutual fund. And you wind up paying every quarter some percentage that goes to either your salesman or the company and such. And mutual funds only trade at the end of the day, so you can't trade mutual funds during the day. So someone came up with this concept called ETFs, exchange traded funds. And what's nice about them is they're no load. So they don't cost you anything to buy. In fact, with the exchanges being basically free to trade, you almost trade ETFs for free right now. So it's great to buy them and sell them. There's no load. In addition, ETFs have the same market basket that you would get with a mutual fund. And you can trade an ETF like a stock, buy it at 9 o'clock, sell it at 10 o'clock. It's very transparent, the price. It's not like a mutual fund where you can only trade at the end of the day. So they trade like a stock, but they have the best features of a stock and a mutual fund. So ETFs are definitely the way to go right now.
Now, do you go through a normal broker or a financial advisor such as yourself? How does that differ from any other way to buy stocks?
It really doesn't. You can buy them through a broker. You can buy them yourself online through any of the big trading portals, whether it's Schwab or Ameritrade or wherever you're buying. Just like you would buy Microsoft, you buy an ETF. They have a 3-letter symbol, and you go in and buy them, and they're dollar denominated, so you can buy as much or as little as you want. It really is a nifty concept.
What about government programs for people who are out of work? Do you know much about the benefits that people can look to kind of supplement what they're going through?
Well, right now, if you're not a business, it's basically unemployment. But as you know, unemployment's been extended. And also there's that little $600 kicker on unemployment. So unemployment's become it's very generous via the federal government in the state of New York. So there are definitely programs out there if you're out of work. Plus, one of the things right now is there are food kitchens where you can get, obviously, free food if things are really tight. And both the federal government and the state of New York are dumping a tremendous amount of money into food kitchens so that producers of like milk and cheese that couldn't dispose of their products, because a lot of milk producers have been dumping, to get that food out into the food banks, so people have access to food if they don't have access right now. So that's really something the government and the state of New York's ramped up over probably the past 60 days.
You know, we've talked to restaurant owners, and you know, a lot of workers who are in restaurants are minimum wage earners, and with unemployment and the kicker, as you call it, the benefits, it seems a lot of minimum wage workers can sit at home now, and they're actually making more on unemployment and benefits than they were as workers on minimum wage. Is that going to present a problem getting workers back into restaurants when things start to unfold and get back to open business again?
That's a huge problem, and that's what happens when the government sticks its dirty little fingers into private enterprise. Because right now, I have a lot of friends that have either restaurants or businesses where they hire people who are probably, you know, $15 to $20 in that price range per hour, and it's really hard to get them back when they're sitting home on unemployment making more than they could. This extra $600 sounds like a good idea to give people a little extra money in their pocket, but what it's doing right now is it's hurting businesses that need to hire workers who can make more sitting at home than they would, you know, going out and working.
And it's not even a person who's lazy or, you know, wants to take advantage of the system, but if you're sitting there and the government is offering you more to do nothing than somebody is offering you to work, that's got to be, just the logic of it has got to be tempting. I mean, you really have to be a special person to say, you know what, I'll take less money to work than I will to sit home. I mean, it just kind of goes against all logic to say, you know, let me turn down what they're giving me.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And again, and that's government encouraging people. I mean, I understand the good intentions. And once again, a lot of problems start with good intentions.
Right. The road to hell is paved with good intentions,
well, you know,
isn't
that's
it?
the old saying, and it's a problem. The problem that we're dealing with now, the COVID, and it's come on so quickly, and it's uncharted territory. What about, you were supervisor in the town of Clarence. What about small municipalities, small towns? They have a budget too, just like people sitting at home. And you know, there's a lack of income because people aren't driving as much, so they don't get speeding tickets. And there's a lot of other little things that have come to a halt. Now taxes, people continue to pay taxes, but when people are going through hard times, that's a burden on people. So there's a real balance there as service to the taxpayer and burden to the taxpayer. How do small towns deal with a situation like this? This is almost unprecedented.
When I was working at General Electric, one of the things Jack Welch said is, a business is no better than the man at the top. And I think that goes for towns too. If you're a supervisor and you're panicking right now, I think you're probably in the wrong job. As a supervisor right now, you can have the mindset of, this is an excellent time to retool my town, to cut all the fat, to introduce new technology, and to really retool my town from top to bottom so that it runs as efficiently as possible. And that's what a good supervisor with a business mentality would do. A lot of towns are unbelievably inefficient. As supervisor, I saw this visiting other towns and talking with other supervisors because they were never required to be competitive. The one thing that started to change that, which I love, is Governor Cuomo's tax cap, which forced towns all of a sudden to look at the money they were spending because they didn't have to before. And the idea with most towns before was, and cities and municipalities in the state of New York was, why should we ever be efficient? We can just raise taxes. It's always put it on the taxpayer's back. But now they have to be efficient. But now this is a perfect time, if you're a supervisor, to take a look at your town and introduce technology, which a lot of towns don't. A lot of towns operate with a kind of a 1950s mentality of just using enough technology to get by, rather than embracing the latest technology to move the towns ahead and save money for the taxpayers. But the supervisor has to have a business mentality to be able to push his town in, to lead it like that, rather than just to sit back and just let things roll, which a lot of them do.
Well, if somebody comes in, as with any elected office, and you're the new guy in town, and you want to, you're the sheriff, you're going to change things and clean it up. Isn't there a built-in resistance to changing the way the system works? In other words, you want to be more efficient, but government tends to go on a certain system, and it's almost like the momentum. The laws of physics. It's very tough to stop that rolling stone. The momentum is really tough to stop.
The momentum is huge, and I won't say it's impossible to turn a town around, but it's very difficult, and it takes years, because the first thing you have to do is you have to get the right people in place. And as you know, that's difficult. Who wants to work for a municipality when all the good people are working for companies, right? So who wants to work for XYZ town? So you have to attract the best people. Then you have to get those people incentivized to work hard when there's no incentive to work hard. You're not getting bonuses. If you work for the town of Marilla, you're not getting a $500,000 bonus because your department came in under budget. You're getting nothing. You're getting nothing if you do well. You're doing nothing if you cut money, nothing if you save for your taxpayers. So there has to be some incentive for those department heads to really be great at what they do and to cut their costs. Or if not, they won't. Why would they,
One of the great drawbacks to being efficient, when you come into a bureaucracy, I don't care whether it's a union or a business or a government position, if you cut your expenses, and you're the head of a department, say, and you run your department really efficiently, and you cut down on the amount of money that your department spends, you're really actually punishing yourself, because the following year they look at you and they say, well, you don't need that budget. You did such a good job, we're going to give you less money.
Right, exactly.
And so most people who are in charge, you just put your finger on it, they have no incentive to do better, because they may be screwing themselves for the next year. I mean, they may say, well, you know what, I never know, something might come up and I'll need that money. I better not be efficient this year because I may need it next year.
Sure, absolutely. Plus the way, most small towns are run by whatever party is in charge. And in small town politics, patronage carries the day. So if you have a department, you need a little extra money to bury somebody that the chairman told you to bury, or the Erie County chairman, or somebody told you to bury somebody. You need a little place to move the people around, because it's all about patronage. It's not about being efficient. It's not about doing the best job you can and saving the taxpayers as much as you can. It's about patronage, it's about money, and it's about politics. And that's at the local level, national level. That's just the nature of politics.
We'll continue our conversation with David right after this.